Su Wang was known as the Snow Wolf, a very important class. He is number 1 in Country Z. His job is basically to protect people. He is always summoned to missions and usually everything goes well. One day he was hired by a rich man to protect his daughter. In this mission, Su Wang discovers many enemies. The story begins with Su Wang, who is known as an illustrious veteran. He would walk through the airport and talk about himself. Wang is a member of the most secret and strongest combat unit in the country of Z. Due to the name of the Snow Wolf unit, he had to fight against tigers and wolves, even to break down the walls of the country M. In the squad, he completed missions with 100% success. That's why they gave him the codename Snow Wolf. However, 3 days ago, during the mission in which he was chosen, Su was late and tragically failed to rescue the hostages. At this moment, he should have been celebrating with his companions, not walking through the airport, but he was sure that he would find who caused this, and certainly he thought it best that this person was lifeless. At that moment, it is possible to hear cries for help from behind. Some girl was being robbed. Even with the girl screaming for help, no one answered. Taking the bag, the thief fled and ordered the protagonist to get out of the middle. The other girl asked Wang to let her pass to kick the thief. She was Fei Fei, CEO of the Bisher Corporation. After picking up the bag, Fei Fei gently handed it to the victim and asked her to be careful because men are scoundrels. While sitting in her red sports car, she looked at Su, who did not help the victim at all, and considered him a useless man. The protagonist, on the other hand, did not understand why she looked at him so intently. Fei left on a high and in the car. Su Wang thought she was busy and took out her passport. He thought she was a very interesting woman and thought she would be a good fit for him. The strongest soldier in Country Z, the Snow Wolf. Walking down the street, Su Wang thought that he must be close to his destination. Deciding to make sure, he opened the sheet with the address written on it. 108 Mandel Street, room 307. He found the building he wanted. In addition, he was in a room with an elderly man, who promptly asked Su Wang to take care of his daughter if he did not return. Looking at the joint photo of Lao Nai and his daughter, the protagonist says that his daughter is 4 years younger than him. So in exchange for this favor, she was to become his wife. Lao was now definitely against it, as his daughter doesn't like him. As he neared his end, Lao Nai begged for answers as to who had done this to him. Again, he asked her to promise him that Su Wang would take care of Yen Pan. As he approached the building, the protagonist heard what was being said about room 307. The girl had not paid for the services for 3 months in a row, and if this continued, her power would be cut off. The owner recalled that 307 has not yet paid rent. She assured her that she didn't think she could hide if she was silent. Su Wang went upstairs, saw how sure the owner was that 307 would go bald if she continued to broadcast so much. He didn't understand why Lao Nai's daughter lived in a place like this, despite not being able to pay for water and electricity. Knocking on the door, a woman in a dressing gown and pink hair opened it for him. Seeing that he was fascinated by her, she asked if he was there to rent a room. She actually realized that the landlady was going to cut off her water and electricity, and she needed to get some money. Deciding that she would not let him go, she asks him to come in, and he began to show the apartment, saying that there were 2 bedrooms, a living room, assuring him that he could keep the master bedroom. There was also a bathroom. The price was $800 a month, not including water and electricity. As soon as the protagonist said that her things were still outside, she immediately went to get it. Seeing that she was having trouble carrying the suitcase, he decided to offer help, but she let go of it and kicked him to catch. Lao Nai's daughter thanked him for coming and warned him to remember to go to bed early and that he could rent it tomorrow. Su Wang didn't even have time to speak before the door closed in front of her. Considering it unimportant, he recalled that Lao asked him not to worry, as he intended to find the traitor and protect his daughter. Night came. Su Wang was already asleep, but at this moment there was a sound near the window. He awoke, and that a foot appeared out of the darkness. He was a certain soldier. He convinced himself that it was a snow wolf, because few people are able to detect its presence. However, in his opinion, it was already too late. Su Wang recognized him. Dalbok Yasin did not expect that even after retiring, his legendary personality would be known. Su Wang realized that he had been found despite having recently arrived there. He asked to be informed about the traitor. Laughing evilly, he tried to convince the protagonist that he was no match for the person who sent him there. At first, Su Wang thought that finishing off the retired veteran was too easy for him. However, he recalled that doing this with the Snow Wolf himself is really a great honor at this time. He was about to destroy it, and if the protagonist was from the base, this guy would become the #1 in Country Z. After a few blows, the enemy was defeated. He didn't realize how it was done in 3 seconds. Wang decided to tell him a secret. He recognized him not because of his reputation, but because of his scar, which he thought was funny. He decided to help him because the scar looked strange. He cut his face once more. Su Wang wanted to know what her client needed from him, but the guy was only upset because of his face. At this moment, Su Wang hears Yan Pan's voice. He decided to see if she was okay. Entering the room, he asked about her well-being. The response was positive. He saw her taking off a guy's hoodie and explaining that someone had entered her room and passed out when he saw her. Soo-won explained that she heard a noise, so he came to check. But she said she was fine and asked to help her get the guy out of there because she was trying to broadcast a live. Agreeing, he picked up the guy and dragged past her. A man entered the webcam chat, noticed the protagonist and started asking the hottie and asked him to stay. On the other side of the screen sat a certain man who had finally found the snow wolf. He realized that he had met the daughter of the Lao Nai chief. The man vowed to first destroy his pride as a snow wolf and then negotiate with the squad itself without its leader. Meanwhile, Fei asked if they haven't already found the thief who stole his wallet. The assistant assured the director that they had already reported the matter and that everything would be resolved within 2 days. She didn't understand how the shameless thief dared to steal her things. She thought that if she saw him again, she would finish him off for sure. The next day, at the headquarters of the Bisher Corporation, Soo-won didn't understand what this mission was, and the mission itself. He didn't understand what to do if it was to finish someone, kidnap someone. Her phone starts ringing and Soo-won answers. On the other end of the phone, a man immediately introduced himself. It was Uncle Lee. He asked if there were any problems with the mission, but Soo-won replied that there wasn't yet. After all, he hadn't even started yet. Hearing this, he advised him to hurry up and make a parallel, taking the briefcase from the girl who brought it to him. He warned Soo-won that Fei was very important and they should protect her. There was a condition that if in 3 months Soo-won could marry her, he could redeem himself and return to the Snow Wolf squad. Soo-won didn't expect him to hear this and decided to ask again. The commander explained that Fei knew some top-secret information, so they must protect her at all costs. He assured that there was no need to worry. After all, he had argued with her father, and his father was insanely happy, and with all hands and feet in favor of this marriage. Soo-won was furious because this was a very important point, and she should have asked him. He was confused, because he didn't know what she looked like, and if she wasn't beautiful, he thought he would be completely devastated. But he was reassured by having met her before, recalling the situation with the robber at the airport. The commander said that he had purposely arranged for Soo-won to help the woman right in front of her. In her opinion, this heroic act would enchant her and certainly win her heart. Hearing this, Soo-won was furious because if they had warned him about it earlier, he wouldn't have ignored this theft and stolen Fei's wallet and ID. Now he believes that she probably hated him and maybe didn't want him. Uncle Lee was already furious and told him to shut up. If he wanted to return to the squad, he should complete the mission. Soo-won also said that 2 mercenaries came to pick him up yesterday. He suspected that they were sent by Ban Tang's main assassination group. He asked to find out how they were able to find him so quickly. In his opinion, it had to do with this traitor. After writing the name, Uncle Lee agreed that he would examine it. The mission wasn't exactly official, so if it was, he asked him to try to keep his teammates out of it. The conversation ended with the fact that the uncle had to go and wish him good luck. He ended the call. Then, by Fei's office, there was a conversation between the daughter and the father. She said that her father can't continue as she wouldn't marry this strange Soo-won. Her father asked her to listen. According to him, he was not just an ordinary man, but a veteran who served in the Snow Wolf unit. Getting up from her desk, she asked her father to stay in his office while she had some things to do. Her father said it was for her own good, even though she herself is extraordinary. But Soo-won is even more extraordinary. The protagonist walked down the street and learned information about Fei. She is the head of the Bisher Corporation. In 3 years, she transformed the company from inferior to the best of its kind. The prophet shocked everyone that Fei was recognized as the strongest woman in the city of Nandal, capable of literally performing a miracle. He felt that if he married such a woman, her pressure would destroy him. But in his opinion, she was very beautiful. He thought that if she became his wife, it wouldn't be so bad. After entering the Bisher Corporation building, Soo-won went to the reception and asked for help because she needed to find Fei. The girl at the reception kindly asked if there was an appointment, but Soo-won replied brusquely that he didn't need an appointment. After all, he was her future husband. The woman told him not to play like that because Miss Fei has no one and everyone knows it. At this point, the elevator opened and Fei was there. She noticed something wrong. The protagonist, on the other hand, convinced the girl at the reception that this was no joke and that they were actually very close. Fei noticed that he had his ID card and didn't understand why he had it. She decided to ask him who he named as his future wife. Turning around, he saw her and was surprised. Pointing her finger at him, she said that he had stolen her wallet and was now spreading blatant rumors. She ordered him to be apprehended and taken to the police. As the crowd gathered around him, Soo-won didn't realize if they really thought they could capture him. At this point, there was a loud request for Fei to stop. It was her father. He was the one who introduced Soo-won to her. He was saying that she was her future husband. Everyone was surprised by this statement. The assistant did not understand if she had heard it right. If that was indeed the case, why had she chosen a man so average with her? The life partner, the assistant did not understand. Everyone was horrified how such a brat could be her husband. The father introduced himself and apologized for what happened. According to him, Fei Fei can be angry at times and asked to take care of her. He assured her that she was a good person and after the wedding everything would be better. Su Wang thought he must be smart, otherwise he might end up like those guys who attacked him. In this case, he would have to settle in the hospital for at least half a year. The protagonist was interrupted by Fei Fei, who asked to stop. After all, Su Wang was a thief who not only ignored a person in trouble, but also stole their wallet. That's why she thought they didn't get along with each other, refusing to get married. Her father assured her that she was free to do whatever she wanted, but she should listen to him now. She may be the CEO, but he owned the company. Therefore, her father wanted to join Su Wang to help the company. After agreeing to this, she provided a condition. If he wants to work for the company, it will allow him. That's why he's hired as a low-level security guard. Your monthly salary will be 1,200. If he doesn't like something, he can leave. Not realizing whether Su Wang agreed or not, she pointed to the door. Due to anger, he went to the guard room. Su Wang was unhappy that he was the leader of the best squad in the military, the Snow Wolf, and now mere guard. After accepting this, he decided that the best guard in the world had been born at that moment. Suddenly, the phone rang. Answering the receiver immediately issued orders to come to Fei Fei immediately. Entering the office, Wang asked what was wrong and sat down in the chair. He thought. Even though he knew what his wife was thinking, he thought she missed him and decided to ask about it. Looking at him, Fei Fei didn't understand why her father wanted her to marry such a man. She thought he was a coward, shameless, untrusted, and also ignorant of theft. To her, he looked terrible, both sitting and standing. As she spoke to him, she explained to let him know that she had given up her doctorate and had not come back here to marry a man like him. She hoped he would change his impression for the better, but he scoffed, thinking the impression was already great. Sitting in the chair, Su Wang was smoking, and Fei didn't understand how he could exist in this world. She decided she needed to talk to him, putting out her cigarette. He thought she finally agreed to sleep with him. Annoyed but ignoring him, she questioned his dirty thoughts in her mind. Su Wang explained that most men love it and in fact everyone is like that. Su Wang assured that he is just more honest about his desires and does not relate to those who hide them. Fei talked about her father's decree to take Su Wang with her to the meeting. She was against it, but realized that her father would not back down, and so they were there to discuss the situation. She decided that she would take him to the meeting, but only as a security guard, and asked him not to cause any trouble. The next night they were going to a meeting. Su Wang was relaxed, and then Fei thought that he had let all his words pass through her ears. Su Wang pondered her superior's words, namely to protect her, and even went so far as to force him to marry her. He thought they were trying to tie them up, but didn't realize who wanted to hurt her. Fei Fei decided to remind him of his role that night, that he was her partner in security. But as she said, she didn't want others to know that her partner was disgusting. Person devoid of taste. She said he was disgusting, but he personally didn't think so. Besides, she had no taste. Su Wang said she thought her taste was beyond the comprehension of mere mortals like her. The girl thought that he was not only untrustworthy, deceitful, cowardly, but also an arrogant person. As they approached the club, the car, he stopped and Fei opened the doors. She hoped he wouldn't give her too much trouble. They were greeted by Ling Zhao and his guard and were worried that they were recovering. After all, she could have just alerted him, and they would have been taken. Fei Fei replied that they weren't close enough for him to take her. Upon seeing Su Wang, he decided to ask who it was. The answer came immediately. Fei Fei replied that he was her guard, and Su Wang replied that he was her husband. Ling Zhao was unhappy with this statement. After all, the whole city knows that he loves her, but Su Wang dares to say that he is her husband. Fei Fei had his own guard. He decided to introduce his. His name was Long Wu. His bodyguard was a mercenary, and once took the lives of 5 mercenaries single-handedly. 2 of them had all their bones broken. Taking off his glasses, he couldn't believe how Su Wang was a guard at this point. The girl asked the protagonist not to get involved and suggested that he simply leave the guard talking to himself. The guard called him a coward and he told him to remain hidden behind his wife's back. Ling Zhao laughed and asked him not to be rude to them. After all, Su Wang is still Fei Fei's guard. He believed that even when hitting a dog, one should know who the owner is. Inside himself, he didn't understand how Su Wang dared to be with Fei Fei. He wanted to make sure that he would disappear shortly after this night. The protagonist smiled, and automatically in an instant the guy's eyes widened and the guard started to feel sick. The guard didn't understand what this murderous aura was. He fell to his knees and was unable to get up. Ling Zhao, on the other hand, didn't understand why he was kneeling in front of Su Wang. But the guard was sure that this fool was so terrifying, and he couldn't control his fear. The guard didn't understand who Su Wang was. After all, he couldn't do anything against him. Su Wang got excited, saying that he hadn't even raised his hands, as he had already gotten wet. He started to make fun of him, saying that he had bladder problems, and it shouldn't take long. Su Wang called Fei Fei to leave because the bad smell was too strong and he was tired of the sight of a man kneeling. Taking her hand, he told her to stop daydreaming and start moving. She didn't understand what had happened. This was actually a side of Su Wang's that she hadn't seen before Fei Fei realized it. Lin Zhao was furious because Longwu had missed the most important moment. The protagonist thought that sooner or later she would bow down to him and belong only to him, just like his Bisher Corporation. Once inside, she explained who Ling Zhao, the young head of the Lin Hai Corporation, was. She doesn't really care about other people, so she asked Su Wang to be more careful when leaving her alone. She didn't understand why he looked at her like that. Su Wang was thrilled that his wife cared so much for him. He wanted to repay her kindness properly from her words. Since they were no longer strangers to each other, he wanted to hug her. But coming to hug her, she pushed him away. Then, in the cafeteria, Su Wang and Fei Fei entered the hall, and all the guests were surprised. They admired Fei Fei and questioned the kind of person who was standing next to her. Looking at his clothes, they concluded that he was just a guard. Fei Fei warned Su Wang that the most influential people in Nandal City were there, and she had something important to discuss with them. So she asked him not to hang around and go eat something. But only when she turned her head did she see that he was not by her side. Su Wang was already eating insatiably, and she regretted telling him about it. She thought he was a strong man, disappointed by that. When he saw his favorite food, he wanted to devour it immediately. Soon after eating, he was called by a certain girl. The girl was Yen Pan, the daughter of Lao. She didn't understand why he was there. He was uncomfortable, and she scolded him for going in there for a free dinner. Su Wang began to answer that it wasn't quite like that, but she calmed him down, deciding to accompany him because everything was free, and they were serving good wines. Drinking wine, Su Wang didn't think Lao's daughter was so poor. Not only could she not pay her rent, but she also sneaked into meetings to eat free food. He felt he needed to do something about it. He looked into Lao's eyes. She turned her attention to Fei Fei, explaining that she was the general director of the Bisher Corporation, the youngest person present to hold such a position, the one who created a miracle in this city. In fact, even this meeting was organized by her personally. At this moment, Su Wang thought that Fei Fei really fit his wife's role. Lao's daughter said that she knew many people who were employees and work in Fei Fei's corporation. Her friend is Fei Fei's personal secretary. Through it, it is possible to learn more about the CEO. Su Wang, on the other hand, assured that there was no need for it. After all, they already knew each other. The girl was surprised by this. Su Wang confidently said that Fei Fei was his wife. Not believing him, she said that as his owner, she supports his dreams. Some guy came and confirmed the words of Lao's daughter, saying that he was too dreamy because all the men present there wanted to be Fei Fei's husband, but only a few would be suitable for her. Lao's daughter informed him that she had to go to the bathroom, and he asked him not to tell anyone about his wife. No one would believe it. The hall exploded with joy. Because a beautiful jewel appeared, Su Wang was interested in knowing what was happening. He saw Ling bring the necklace from Myanmar, especially for Fei Fei. This necklace was priceless. This piece of jewelry was created by the best craftsman in the business. It is the only one in the world. Only Fei Fei can match her beauty, he said. Assistant Director Ling thought the director and Fei Fei were the perfect couple. Principal Lin was too obsessed with her. He went so far as to give her a gift. Approaching Su Wang, Yen Pan asked not to stay like that. After all, they had already become a couple. To envy this was useless in his opinion. It was better to go get something to eat. Fei couldn't accept this gift and said she didn't deserve such a gift at all, so she couldn't accept it. Ling asked her not to be so formal. He was willing to give it to her. It was the best jade necklace in the world. Su Wang was furious at how Lin dared to flirt with his wife in front of everyone. The girl didn't understand what he wanted to do and asked him to stop. Grabbing Fei Fei's hand, Ling Zhao asked her not to be embarrassed. After all, everyone was watching, so he decided to help her. He realized that today was an important press conference for the Bisher Corporation. He will use this meeting to force her to accept the necklace. If she accepted his gift, so tomorrow all the headlines would be full of gossip about her and Ling Zhao. The Ling family is involved in the illegal trade, so such gossip would damage their reputation in the development of their company. She didn't know what to do, as she felt trapped, abruptly grabbing and removing Ling Zhao's hand. Su Wang did not allow his wife to be touched. People were surprised at who he was, and why he said the principal was his wife. In his opinion, he is only her guard, but dares to exceed his authority and insult Ling. Ling Zhao decided that Su Wang was arrogant and to deal with him. Ling ordered the guards to drive him out of there as in the blink of an eye, the guards surrounded him. But after Yen Pan Lao's daughter appeared immediately, stating that it was just a misunderstanding. She said that Su Wang was addressing her, not Fei Fei, deciding that they should let them continue to have fun, and she and Su Wang would, although Su Wang didn't understand what she was doing after all. He never said she was his wife. Fei Fei heard that too. She thought he was a scoundrel and was disappointed too. She didn't understand how her father could choose such a person, but immediately he decided to explain himself to her, as it wasn't what she thought, pointing his finger at Lao's daughter. He explained that his name was now Yen Pan and she was not his wife. They just lived in the same house. Leaning on his shoulder, she pretended she didn't know what he was talking about and said they should move in together. He didn't need to be ashamed. Pushing it away, He didn't understand what she was doing, but now Yan Pan explained that Fei Fei wasn't someone he could annoy. The same goes for Ling Xiao. According to her, she was trying to save him. Fei got angry and asked her to stop making excuses and stop making a scene. Lin Xiao approached him with a statement that Su Wang was a fraud. He already had a woman, so he asked him to stop harassing Fei Fei and get out of there. Ling asked Fei Fei to stop wasting her time with the protagonist by continuing to talk about the necklace, but Su Wang decided to interrupt him, saying that the jade necklace was fake. Everyone was shocked by this statement, but Ling Xiao didn't think that someone simple-minded like Su had ever seen jade. I told him to look at his clothes and manners. The people there were also perplexed, in their opinion why such a rich man would buy a counterfeit. Lao's daughter was disappointed. There was no way she could save Su Wang now. The protagonist said that this was the second time people said he had no taste, but he wasn't angry. I thought it was ridiculous for someone who had taste to tell others that he didn't. Fei Fei heard this and realized that she still remembered it, and it seems that he took this insult seriously during the car ride. Ling Xiao was furious and stated that it was jade, so the protagonist should also stop pretending. After all, Fei Fei already knows what kind of person Su Wang is. Su claimed that the necklace was not real jade, but a similar stone jadeite. He explained that there is a difference between jadeite and jade. Both are crystals and are known as quartz, although jade looks prettier. Their hardness and density are much lower than jadeite, so the best way to test them is to throw them up. Lao's daughter was surprised that he knew so much, even though she didn't understand what he was talking about. It seemed to him that he knew his business. Ling Xiao told him to stop talking. According to him, the prota does not know how valuable this is. How could a peasant like Su Wang know about such jewels? He orders the guards to expel him. Fei Fei asked to wait, arguing that if Ling is calmer, then let Su Wang continue. If the prota is wrong, Ling is clean. She noticed that Ling Xiao looked nervous. The necklace could really be fake, but it doesn't matter if Su Wang is here. Lin will not force the necklace on her. The guy was really worried and didn't understand what kind of joke this was. In his opinion, he was not scared. He was surprised that Su Wang was just a bodyguard. But since he had such expert knowledge, he concluded that Su Wang was jealous, so he made a scene. Su Wang said that they would know the truth when the inspection was over and asked for a glass by pouring some water into it. He could weigh down the necklace. As soon as the glass of water was brought, Su Wang took a stone from her necklace and threw it into the water. Lin Xiao told him to be careful. After all, if the necklace was scratched, a peasant like Su Wang wouldn't be able to repair it. The protagonist measured the weight of the necklace. It was quite simple. You subtract the initial mass from the current mass, as he knew that jadeite has a density of 3 and 30 to 3 and 36, while jade has a density of 2 and 48 to 2 and 65. He explained that everyone who went to school knows that it is possible to find out the mass of an object by determining its density. Like this, according to current measurements, if this jade is genuine, its mass should be between 119 and 123 grams. If the necklace is made of smaller jade, the weight should be around 90 grams. This was an easy way to tell if it was authentic or not. Fei Fei said that Su Wang knows such a method by checking the weight of the jade. In her opinion, he is sure that the necklace is fake. Ling Xiao was furious, because he had financial problems, and for a long time he had been looking for someone to make a fake necklace so that the fake would not be visible. But Su Wang didn't even touch the necklace and found out it was fake. Here comes the result, 91 grams. People in the audience couldn't believe how this was possible. After all, they didn't think Su Wang was a genius. He had recognized the fake just by looking at it. Lao's daughter was surprised and praised him, saying that he was very smart. Ling nervously and lying pretended that he did not know that he was fake, and that he had also been deceived. He promised to find the trickster and give Fei Fei the real jade necklace, but only asked to give her some time. On leaving, he was dissatisfied that Su Wang had ruined everything, and he promised to remember that. Leaving the building, Lao's daughter asked Su Wang what was going on and how he knew Fei. He claimed that he had some business to take care of, as it was a long story, and he would tell it a little later. After getting into the car, Fei asked Fei why he left his wife to go with her. Su Wang explained that his wife wasn't really her, but Fei Fei was furious. She asked not to call her that in public anymore. He has graciously agreed to honor his wife's request and will call her only in private. Fei Fei was about to express everything about him in front of her father as soon as they got back. At this moment, the danger warning signal sounded. That was a snowman without a trace. The Trailless Snowman is the best group of assassins in the world. It's very mysterious. They have a 100% success rate in all their missions. The targets of the group are out of lives, but even though the Traceless Snowman, as the group is called, is actually driven by 2 people. Su Wang was once part of the group, but he left to join the Snow Wolf squad, so there was only one left, Jing Xiaqiu. The message said that at 8 p.m., someone will come for Fei Fei, get ready. There were only 3 minutes left. Jing's information is never false. There is no more time, and Su Wang had to stand guard. Grabbing Fei Fei's hand, the protagonist asked the driver to stop the car now. She didn't understand what he was doing, but he explained that they were in a very dangerous situation and asked her to tell the driver to stop. He would explain everything later. After assaulting him, she thought he was crazy and told him to let her go, otherwise she would call the police. Then the truck started to get in the way of the car and the protagonist said they didn't have time. Fei Fei didn't understand how he dared to yell at her and told him to get out now. But Su Wang grabbed her in an attempt to protect her. He realized that it was necessary to protect her. Then the truck knocked the car off the road and it overturned. The car starts to catch fire and the driver was already lifeless. Fei Fei asked about the Su Wang's well-being, after which they ordered Fei Fei to simply leave and surrender. As soon as they left, they saw in front of them a crowd of serious people. Their leaders said they were lucky to have survived such an attack. Turning to Su Wang, he explained that his life belonged to him and ordered him to give them the woman, and he would be free. Fei asked Su not to leave, but he didn't even have that thought. On the contrary, he ordered them to put down the knife, kneel down and call him daddy, then cut off their own hand. After that, he will think about keeping them alive. The leader was furious. As Su Wang dares to speak to him in such a tone, after that he ordered his men to attack Fei Fei first and then massacre the boy. Su Wang told Fei Fei to stay where she was and not move. After all, she was their target. After thinking about it, she decided that she wouldn't let them touch Su Wang and pulling her sleeve. She asked him not to be impertinent. In her opinion, there are many of them. It is too dangerous to fight and she can negotiate and give them money to buy time before the police arrive. Su Wang appreciated their concern for him, but since they were looking down on him, he decided to teach them a lesson. Fei Fei was frightened, as the entire squad had already been defeated, in Su Wang's opinion. He had overheated and seemed to have overreacted. None of them were conscious and he did not understand how he was going to find out the information. Next, Su Wang called Jing and asked what was going on, why the target was Fei Fei, and how he knew Su Wang was with her. Jing asked him not to rush him, and graciously agreed to answer all of his questions. He explained that in the first place there was a bounty on Fei Fei's head, but it wasn't that high, around 50,000. He was looking at the hunting prizes since he had nothing to do. That's when he realized she was on the list. The investigation into the motives behind this hunt should be completed in a few days. And as for the last question, Su Wang can guess how he knows Su is with her. There was no need for that uncle or some snow wolf guys who must have counted. The protagonist began to stop the conversation, saying that he had some other things to take care of. Fei Fei realized that Su Wang was mysterious and hid her strength. That's why her father wanted her to marry him, she speculated. But as strong as it was useless. She believed that you can't hit someone to solve problems in today's society. Everything is decided by the one who is smarter. Even a martial arts master can be defeated by a few bullets. Which was all his father was thinking. Jing asked not to hang up. There was something else. He asked Su Wang to be careful with the ban. The prohibition of the Tang assassin group had recently sent many assassins to Nandal City. Su Wang realized that today's killers were clearly amateurs. If Fei Fei had a good bodyguard, these assassins wouldn't stand a chance. But what if they tried to take his life more than once, Su Wang thought. In his opinion, they would likely see his surroundings, then find a weak spot and continue to eliminate it later. Su Wang thought they were good guys and it wouldn't be easy. Uncle Lee once said that Fei Fei was bound to some secret, Su Wang reflected. From now on, it was a major operation. Su should be more careful. Then, in the building across the street, a certain guy made sure that Fei Fei was hard to eliminate, and luckily he found some idiots to exploit first. He realized that the people around him were very good and he needed to finish off Su Wang first. After that, Su Wang and Fei Fei were already traveling in another car. The Proto was thinking, before hanging up. Jing said that Ban, the main group of Tang assassins, had sent too many assassins there. He didn't understand what they wanted to do. Whether it was related by Fei Fei or Yen Pan, it was getting more and more complicated. Su Wang noticed. Unexpectedly, Fei thanked Su for today. Su Wang graciously accepted the thanks and replied that they were family and that there was no need to thank them. He noticed that the road they are traveling on is not the other way around. Fei Fei, on the other hand, explained that her father was only informed about what happened because he is worried that they are going to the mansion. After arriving at the mansion, they left and walked towards the entrance of the house. After passing the fence, Fei Fei noticed that Su Wang was nervous and decided to find out what it was. After all, he was pretty tough when he beat up those guys, so why is he nervous now? Su Wang in turn replied wryly that tonight would be their first night together and he felt very strange. Fei Fei didn't like the joke and slapped him, saying that no one would want to sleep with him. Then, being inside the Fei Fei family mansion, the father ensured that with Su Wang, his daughter was in good hands. He was happy that the Proto was there with her. Interrupting them, Fei Fei stood up saying that it was getting late and asked him to send Su Wang home. Her father didn't understand how she could talk like that, and besides, the two are a family. How could she kick her husband out? But Fei assured Fei that she didn't even know Su Wang, and they didn't have any relationship, and now he was her husband. But his father did not understand. But I said this because I had already prepared the papers. From now on, the two would be together. The girl was furious at this news. She couldn't believe that her father had done it without asking her. But he asked her not to be nervous and to pay attention to Su Wang, how calm and collected he was. The father thought this sort of thing was urgent, and since the two were busy, he did it. Fei was horrified by what was happening. Now she was married to this man. Her father informed Su Wang that they were both married. From now on, this would be their home, and there was no need to be embarrassed. Su Wang then decided that he would stay here for today and sees Fei banging on the table. Fei stated that she did not agree with Su Wang staying there. Her father, on the other hand, thought she was acting like a child, explaining that Su Wang was her husband and that they should be together. He noticed that Su Wang was injured and pointed to the wound. The father defended him, saying that Su Wang was injured while protecting her, so she should take care of her. Going upstairs, Fei declared that if her father wanted Su Wang to live there, then he would sleep with him after all. She didn't want to see him. Su Wang and Fei's father remained at the table. The prota kindly asked if he could go home today, to which he was refused. The father explained that he still owned this house and he had decided that Su Wang would sleep in his mansion tonight. Su Wang pretended to be uncomfortable, referring to Fei's words. But the father was categorical in saying that she was his wife and that he should take care of his wife and make her stop being naughty. In addition, he asked not to be called uncle because he was now married. Fei's father reminded her that Su Wang shouldn't let a woman do whatever she wants. Otherwise, if his wife disobeyed, he might become rude. Tonight he was going to see if Su could win her over. Turning to the protagonist, he declared his support and asked him to pretend he hadn't heard anything that night. The protagonist thought this father was very special, as he insists on punishing Fei if she does not obey him. He hoped that if his father gave his permission, he could go to bed with Fei without any problems. Su Wang saw her about to enter her room. Fei was thoughtful, as her father was becoming more and more indifferent to her. She didn't understand if it meant nothing to him. Without sound, the prota approached her, but she noticed and asked what he was doing there. The answer was immediate: to sleep. Surprised that he would sleep in her room, she immediately rejected the offer. Su Wang began to explain that they were now officially married and should sleep together. In addition, according to him, her own father said that women should be punished. He didn't wait long and entered the room. Fei was furious and asked him to stop at this very second. In the end, she asked him to wait outside. After all, she hadn't cleaned the room. Su Wang was intrigued and didn't understand why he should wait outside. After all, she's his wife and he can see her stuff. She was very angry with him, but abruptly remembered that her panties were still on the balcony. Fei thought he shouldn't see them and started running towards the balcony. She didn't understand what Su Wang was interested in, but when she turned her head, she heard a question if she was really wearing such a thing. Showing her panties, this was new to Su Wang. This was something he hadn't seen before. Taking off his panties, she was embarrassed that he had seen it. Su Wang was very tired and decided to go to bed. He lay on the bed thinking about how a cold and upper-class woman like her likes to wear underwear. Fei couldn't let him sleep in her room and felt she had to kick him off, but Su Wang had already fallen asleep. Fei wondered if it wouldn't be better if she just let him sleep here. Otherwise, if she wakes him up, he'll start asking about her panties again. Then, lying in bed, she realized that it was only for one night and tomorrow she could kick him out. At this moment, Su Wang threw her leg over her. She was furious because if he moved again, she would hit him in the face. Su Wang was awake and saw that there was no reaction. He realized that she was nervous and decided to put his hand. After all, even if she didn't like it, she wouldn't hit him for that. When she lowered her hand, she did not realize where she had put it, for it was something soft and elastic, and when she opened her eyes, she saw that it was not her hand. Without waiting long for a reaction, Su Wang was already on the ground and didn't understand why he didn't have the right to make mistakes, the prota asked. After all, he didn't want to. But Fei, with tears in her eyes and fury, called him an idiot. The next day in the guard room, Su Wang was questioned by Luigi about what happened to her eye. Su Wang explained that last night when he slept with Fei, she pushed him out of bed. He didn't understand how to establish contact with her. Luigi didn't believe it and suggested that he sleep with Miss Universe, to which Wang replied with a smile. They were surprised how he wasn't afraid to joke about it, since he could be fired. Someone even claimed that since Su Wang was just a rookie, he didn't even have the right to look at her. If his superiors found his antics, they would punish him severely. They warned him to stop making up stories with Fei. Su Wang was upset, because no one believed him when he told the truth. Suddenly, Su Wang was told to be quiet, as the chief had entered. In the blink of an eye, they lined up in a line, after which the head of duty, mostly from Choi, entered. The head of duty didn't understand why the guys were standing while they were on duty. All the boys had clean uniforms, but only Su Wang had dirty casual clothes. The boss listened to everything they were talking about, so he explained to them that they were among the group, ranked among the top 500 companies in this world. They are the largest company in Nandal City. so they will not tolerate lazy workers, especially young people. He hoped that some of them would think about it and start behaving correctly. They need to realize the fact that they are a guard. If they don't want to, they can leave safely. Also pointing to Su Wong, who was only there for a few days, the boss gives her the first mission. Employees lost many belongings at the site. It was necessary to help find the disappearance. To comply was given 2 days. If you do not find it in time, he will cut his salary by 80%. He also asked to wear a uniform. Walking down the aisle with a staff member, he explained that he didn't like Su Wong's behavior and purposely give her assignments and cut her salary. Su Wong convinced him not to worry. After all, it was enough to find the lost things. It wasn't a big deal for him. Then he gave him a cigarette to smoke. But the employee explained that the company's policy says they can't smoke anywhere during working hours. Su Wong didn't understand why he was so afraid. After all, there was no one around, but he stood his ground and took Su's cigarette. If Lee saw Su Wong smoking, he would wipe it in dust, the staff member assured. Su Wong accepted that he was a very honest guy and was commendable, promising that he would not smoke, and went on to fulfill the mission assigned to him. The employee explained that Choi gave Su Wong this assignment only to kick him out of the company. Su Wong was curious as to why this was the case. He says that this has been happening for 6 months. Someone has been stealing things from your co-workers. The police came dozens of times but could do nothing. According to the official's leader, Choi gives him a task that is simply impossible. Su Wong was interested in a case that had not been solved for half a year and items that only steal from women. He had nothing against the leader Choi, and thus did not understand why he would hate Su. The employee assured him that he wouldn't worry so much, as he would compliment him in front of him, so that he would stop feeling negative towards Su Wong as a guard in this group. He explained that their duties were very simple. They only had to patrol a few times and they were paid. The protagonist suspected something and asked him to shut up. Outside the door, orders were issued to stop in Choi's name. Ling was told to stop harassing her, but he was convinced that he knew he needed the money to cure his brother's illness and only had to trust him. She received a bonus, but first she had to do something. Shower was forced to think about her brother, as he needs financial resources. She was offered a promotion, but she refused and asked to be dismissed. At this moment, with a kick to the foot, the door opened and Wong and his colleague entered. He ordered her to be released immediately. The manager saw someone enter and ran to her back. The man began to ask if they knew who he was and how they dare bother him for nothing. Su Wong answered defiantly. He knew who he was, a terrible person. A colleague began to stop him. After all, he was the human resources manager of the Bisher group. He is more in charge than leader Choi, and asked him to be more careful as they can't cross paths with someone like him. Su Wong replied confidently that it must be some influential position, but no more influential than that of his wife. After all, the property belongs to his wife. The guy was furious because this is the first time he's seen someone more reckless than him in this company. A colleague tried to stop him, explaining that he could not cross such an important person. This person's name is Liang Jianchen. His father is a shareholder of this company, and he has his own shares here. But Su Wong didn't care if he was a shareholder or not. He couldn't believe that anyone would think he'd bow down to this garbage. Becoming even more annoyed, Liang Chen declared that if Su's father came, he would definitely ask how he was able to raise an animal like him. He really didn't like the way it was being talked about, deciding that Su Wong should pay for it. The man flew at him with his fists. Su Wong immediately blocked his punch, dispelling her confidence that he was strong. He couldn't move and begged to be released, stretching out his hand. The protagonist wished that he would admit that he was a piece of garbage and that his father had raised an evil man like him. But Liang Jian was furious and told him to get away from him. Otherwise, he would tell his superior everything that happened and force him to fire Su Wong. At this moment, Fei Fei walked in, not understanding who Liang Chen wanted to fire again. She thought that, as a personal manager, he was pushing himself too hard. Upon seeing her, the staff began to say hello, and Su Wong too, almost calling her his wife. She didn't want everyone to know, so he decided to play along. The protagonist said that Liang Jian was harassing women in broad daylight. In his opinion, he was obliged to apologize, otherwise he would have him clean the toilets. Liang Jian began to make excuses, but without even finishing listening. Fei Fei ordered that Su Wong let him go. As soon as he got up, he promised to take revenge. It was only necessary to wait. Fei Fei felt that they both did a good job today, and she would increase her paychecks by 500 as a thank you. The co-worker was very happy and thanked Fei Fei. She also thought the girl had performed well, and said that she would be transferred to his office and become his secretary there. Ending with Fei's departure, Fei ordered them not to scatter and ruin the company's image, otherwise they would all be fired. Holding her hand, Su Wong didn't understand why she let Liang Chen go. After all, he had insulted someone's daughter. Fei begged Fei to let her go, but he wouldn't let go until she answered. She decided to explain that his father is a great auctioneer in the company, and even she can't control everything. She couldn't do anything with him even if she wanted to. Su Wong didn't understand if it was a joke or not. After all, he was very old. The age his father was, he didn't even imagine. She explained that he was actually 30 years old, but due to alcohol and obscenity, his condition deteriorated a lot. Throwing his hand away, she started to pull away and told him not to look like a pervert. After that, Manager Schwab started thanking Su Wong for her help, because if he wasn't there, she wouldn't know what to do. He said everything was fine and he was just doing his duty. She was treating him very formally, and he said he didn't need that. The girl invited him to dinner. Su Wong agreed, commenting that he would gladly go to dinner with such a beautiful girl. The manager was embarrassed and left for the elevator, promising to call right away. The colleague decided to ask again, saying that Faye was his wife, why she was so cold to him. Su Wong thought that her colleague really didn't understand anything. After all, this was his companion and Su Wong didn't want to embarrass her in front of the employees. After that, he would get home, be comfortable around her. The colleague didn't expect his joke to actually come true, but he still really advised him to stop there. Otherwise, he could be exposed and someone could use it against Su Wong. Then at sunset, Su Wong came to the building. Opening the door to the room, he didn't understand why the lights were off or if anyone was there. Su Wong asked if Yan Pan was home, but there was silence in response. He didn't realize where she was because she was supposed to be streaming live now. At that moment, some sounds came from outside the door. Su Wong heard this and started knocking on the door, asking if anyone was there. Kicking in the door, he saw the girl on the bed with a glass of water spilled. Walking up to her, he felt that her body was too hot and that it was bad. An hour later, already in the hospital, Su Wong noticed that she was waking up. She didn't know where she was. Su Wong explained that they were in the hospital and wanted to know what was wrong as she had a very high fever. The girl explained that she took a bath with cold water and then the fever came. She thought it would be okay if she just drank some hot water, but it got worse. Su Wong didn't understand why she bathed with cold water on such a cold day and why she didn't take medicine. She really wasn't taking care of herself properly. If she got hurt or something happened to her, he would tell her father. But she remembered that her father asked her to take care of her and not leave her alone. Su thought that if she asked, he would just tell her that he was on a secret mission. He then continued to dialogue with her, talking about what he would tell her fans if something happened to her. She said that because she did not pay the bills, the electricity was cut off. She could only shower with cold water, and she didn't buy the medication simply because she wanted to save money. Su Wong has heard that streamers make thousands of dollars a month, but she streams every night. She is very popular. Why would she save money? She confirmed that she has a lot of fans, but before that she could get any money from her streams, the streaming platform went bankrupt, so she can't even find a job. Su Wong realized that she was going through a very difficult time right now, remembering that she had entered the party just to eat. He thought she was living a great life, but now she couldn't even make ends meet. Upon leaving, he assured that he would not worry. From now on, as long as he was alive, he would take care of her. The next day, Yan Pan felt fine after recovering. Su Wong looked at his wallet with a sad sigh because he had spent all his savings in just one visit. Yan Pan found it boring to stay in the hospital and suggested something to eat. She wanted fried beef sashimi. Su Wong proposed a reciprocal idea by eating bread together. She was intrigued because at the same moment Su Wong received a call. Picking up the phone that rang, the introduction of that was Jing Zhao and he had come to the city. Su Wong was surprised by this. After all, it was too fast. Then he asked about his investigation. Jing Zhao called him to the hotel where he would tell him everything. They hadn't seen each other for a long time and offered him a drink. He was just saying that he has a collection of the Danish emperor. This bottle of wine is 150 years old. After finishing the conversation, Su Wong told the girl to leave first as he had a few things. She began to get annoyed because he promised that they would eat bread together. She didn't understand how he could get away without her, and in the end he suggested that she go with him. He bought her dinner. She thanked Su Wong for choosing such a beautiful place for her first date. Hearing this, Su Wong was unpleasantly surprised. She assured him that she was ready to repay him with her body, even when he became poor. Su Wong explained that one cannot say this because he knows that he has a wife. This answer disappointed Yan Pan a bit, to which she replied that he was just a security guard of the group, and told him to stop pretending to be next to Fei Fei. When they approached their destination, they looked around and Yan Pan found a table with different dishes. Seeing that the boy had visitors, he turned to Su Wong, saying that he should protect this woman. But he didn't have time to say that before they attacked the food. After saying hello to the protagonist, he thought it was too much, since they didn't even say hello. But Su Wong explained that he hadn't eaten in 2 days and that they would talk after he finished. Yan Pan wanted something to drink and asked for a drink. The guy they came to see was furious, whether it was a joke or not. After all, he's from Jingzhou, famous murderer, not a servant. Half an hour later, Su Wong and Yan Pan were fed up as the guy cried because he wasn't taken seriously. The protagonist called Jing and asked if the food was cheap, but the latter denied, saying it was nothing, just 10,000. Su Wong was intrigued where he was working. The dinner alone cost 10,000. Jing Zhao asked him to calm down, because if he hadn't shown him this job, he would still be in the mines in Africa. Jing assured that it was just dinner. It was nothing. Honestly, confessing that I had rented the entire hotel except for one floor. Yanpan guessed why no one was at the hotel today. After all, he had rented the entire hotel. That was amazing, she thought. But Jing Zhao asked to stop talking about money. As if Su Wang were poor, he realized it himself. After all, he can't even buy things for his wife. Jing suggested that since they were all together, they should go for a walk. Upon entering the elevator, he explained that the money he earned while he was a murderer was all frozen. Su Wang decided to make sure and asked about the number of rented floors and decided to find out what was special about the last one. Jing Zhao admitted that he wanted to rent the entire hotel, but they wanted one floor to stay in. They said some important person was here to discuss business. As soon as the elevator door opened, they saw some employees. He didn't understand why they were here. The officers ordered them to stop and told them they couldn't be there and should leave immediately. The guard slapped one and explained how he dares to talk like that. After all, he has no idea who the protagonist is. The guard assured him that Su Wang would soon recognize him and that these guys weren't bad, asking him to forgive them. Su Wang remembered the guard and summed him up as Wu Lin, the Zhao's bodyguard. He was so scared that night that he got wet. Our bodyguard ordered his subordinates to treat Su Wang with respect from now on. The prota wondered what he was doing here and why he was guarding the door. The bodyguard explained that his boss, Ling Zhao, was discussing some business inside. Su Wang was surprised that Ling was telling him to put the door away again. He must be discussing some illegal business again. Su Wang and her friends heard the cries for help and decided to help, but the bodyguard politely said they couldn't go in there. Accepting this courtesy, Su Wang gave them a chance to get out of the way. The guards moved out of the way. One of the guys asked what everyone was doing going there and how they would explain it later. Also, they can't let people in, but the bodyguard nervously replied that they couldn't think about it anymore. Now their lives were more important. Then, in one of the hotel's offices, the manager was called to the office but did not understand why she was called. She explained that the man who harassed her began to bully her, saying that she thought that if she was supported by Fei Fei, she was invincible. The girl was scared and didn't know what would become of her, indicating that if he continued, she would scream. But he explained that even if she screamed, no one would get there because some psychopath rented the rest of the floors of that hotel. There were no people there, so if she wants to scream, let her scream, Jin Chen said. The guy next to them warned that they didn't have much time. Brother Ben had put in a lot of effort, so they decided to do it now. There was an order near the door to let this girl go. She saw that it was Su Wang and asked her for help. Jing Chen was furious that Wang had appeared there again, but he was eager to deal with him. Jing asked him to deal with him. He didn't realize who he was and decided to ask more, asking another question about the desire for a tragic departure. Jing introduced himself as the psychopath who had knocked down all 19 floors. They were talking when a guy got up from the couch and told him not to get nervous because it was just a misunderstanding. He admitted that they were a bit rude, but since they were here they could be friends. The guy realized that Jing had rented the entire hotel, so he must have connections. Jing felt that he should find out about him first before making a move. The guy introduced himself that his name was Bing, and he had a small rehearsal in Mandal City. Yanpan told Su Wang that she knows him. He is an important figure in the underworld. He is a cunning and cruel man. Those who crossed his path disappeared and their bodies appeared in the underground sewers. Jiang Chen began to press Jing, thinking that he was out, or he didn't like to be called a psychopath. A crushing blow ensued, and Jiang Chen went to see Jesus. Su Wang noticed that Jing was holding back as if no one was here. He also didn't understand what Liang was thinking. Even if he had 10 lives, he wouldn't be able to handle it. Su Wang thought to herself when Bing returned to her brother, condemning his act of beating people just for saying something he didn't like. Su Wang replied that it was too much, and how he thought he would be silent if Su Wang insulted him. The girl said that she was there to discuss important matters, but she didn't expect to meet Liang Jin Chen after she left the place. They brought her here by force. Su Wang was interested in the presence of Fei Fei's general manager, to which Jing said that he was in a meeting on the 17th floor, but it was a secret meeting. The 17th floor was the one that Jing couldn't get out. The manager told him that someone important had come to visit, and that someone was Su Wang's boss. The protagonist became suspicious and asked Jing Zhao if he had said he had found anything in his investigation. He couldn't ask at the time, but now he had to tell him what he had found and now. But Jing will reassure Su Wang, saying that he would tell her after they are done.